live.
All right. Welcome, everyone. If you're joining us right at the start of this program, feel free to put in the comments where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. Welcome. We'll get started in just a minute. We'll let some more folks tune in here.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to our most recent installment of Facebook Live. This time we'll be discussing external databases that can be found on our website, AmericanAncestors.org. My name is Trisha Labby. For those of you who have tuned into our Facebook Live events before, I am a new face on these programs. I'm the events manager here at American Ancestors NEHGS. So I work largely behind the scenes on the logistics of our many programs. I'll be moderating today's event. American Ancestors NEHGS is a nonprofit organization supported by our members and donors. We provide resources and expertise in nearly all aspects of family history, and we're pleased to offer such programming for our members and friends around the world, especially our virtual event offerings at this time. Today's speaker is Rhonda R. McClure. Rhonda is our senior genealogist at American Ancestors NEHGS, and she is a nationally recognized professional genealogist and lecturer on a variety of genealogical topics. She's also the compiler of more than 120 celebrity family trees. She has been the contributing editor for Heritage Quest magazine, Biography magazine, and was also a contributor to the History Channel magazine and American History magazine. In addition to her numerous articles, she's also the author of 10 books, including the award-winning Complete Idiot's Guide to Online Genealogy, Finding Your Famous and Infamous Ancestors, and Digitizing Your Family History. Rhonda's areas of expertise include immigration and naturalization, late 19th and early 20th century urban research, State Department federal records, New England, Midwest, Southern, German, Italian, Scottish, Irish, French Canadian, and New Brunswick research. She's also an expert on genealogical software and digital peripherals. So she does a little bit of everything for us here at American Ancestors. We're so lucky to have her expertise in so many different areas. Rhonda will lead today's discussion on our external databases at AmericanAncestors.org, highlighting these hidden gem resources that our members can access from home. After Rhonda's presentation, we will have some time for questions. So if you think of any questions or comments during today's discussion, you can put it into the comments section on Facebook at any time, and we'll get to as many of those as we can in the time allotted. Before I hand it over to Rhonda to get started, I did also want to mention at the top of the program that access to our external databases is a benefit of our paid NEHGS membership. So for those of you tuning in who are interested in joining as a new member, we do have a membership special running through the end of April that you can take advantage of in order to gain access to these resources right away. With this membership deal, new members get $20 off with code April0421 at AmericanAncestors.org/spring sale. And don't worry about remembering that from just me saying it verbally. We'll put that link in the chat, in the comment section for all of you to access. Without further ado, I will pass it over to Rhonda to get started.
Thank you very much, Trisha, and welcome everyone. So we are going to look at a lot of different external databases that we offer. I do want to say that in an effort to make it a little easier for you to see via the Facebook Live window, I have made the view that you're seeing of American Ancestors, the homepage, slightly larger, so my resolution of the screen is larger, so you'll be able to better see. So what you're seeing here with the search, services, learn, library, usually that all appears on a single line underneath our American Ancestors if you are in your browser. But so that you can see it bigger, I made it the resolution slightly larger. So the way to easily find our external databases is once you are logged in. Very, very important that you make sure that you're logged in. And the two ways to know that you are logged in is, number one, the green button in the upper right should say log out. And somewhere in the center of your browser window, it should say welcome and whatever name you have decided, nickname, first name, whatever. So make sure that that is activated and that you are logged in. And then underneath our search databases, you will see, if you click on search, a box opens. And most of the time, everybody goes to the advanced search and they just do searching of our databases. However, if you scroll further down, you will see special interest databases here. And this is the section where we have our external databases. The special interest databases are external databases that we are going to talk about, but I also want to talk about this search external databases subset here. This is a set of databases that we currently have available while we're all stuck at home because of COVID, that we were able to make arrangements with so that you could view them remotely. These are databases normally reserved for research in our building, but because nobody can get there, we were able to make arrangements. So if you click on the search external databases, it will open this collection here, library databases from home, and that will take you to this temporary databases from home section, which to the best of my knowledge is going to be live and available through June 30th of 2021. So these are some of the databases that we would have in our building right here, these top ones right here first. And you would only be able to access them in our building. But like I said, temporarily, you can do it from home remotely. Again, you do have to be logged in for that to work. This is also the page where, as you further scroll down below this big box that's currently there, you would also see the list of the various databases that I am going to talk to you about currently. However, usually I just go and get to them from that front section. So when I am in the search, you can access them and it will take you directly to any of these specific items that you want. So in other words, if we were interested in looking at 19th century newspaper database, if you click on it, what it'll do is it will open an additional tab in your browser and allow you then to look at it. And you should see some kind of notification that it's recognizing you as being part of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. And so then you can do a search, you can browse, etc. I like to browse first because I like to get a sense of what we have here as far as the publications, because we want to make sure if we're doing any kind of online searching that we're not going to be met with complete and utter, dismay because there's nothing found. And sometimes the fact that there's nothing found has to do more with what's not available at the database. So browsing is always a good idea. If you're looking for a specific newspaper, like a state, you might want to put in, Nebraska and do a search and see what we get. And in this case, nothing. And that's because it's a very specific. So if I put in the Nebraskan that popped up, that should show us what they have. So we have the Nebraskan, the Daily Nebraskan, and Omaha Nebraskan. And so at that point, you will be able to then pick something and see what is available. So here we can see that we have coverage of this particular newspaper beginning in 1856 to current, which is actually kind of exciting. And so pulling down right now, they have just 1856 and 1857 available for the current set. So obviously, if you were looking for something past that time frame, it's not going to be available to you. However, it's possible that the Nebraskan changed into and morphed into something else. And here we see 1859 to 61. So it's always important to see, number one, what's available. So as we can see, it's sort of morphing as we go. So it was from 57 to 60. We've got the Omaha, Nebraskan. And so the more you do, we are so tempted to just type in a name and go. It's really important to take a look and see just what you have available before you begin, so that you know that what you're looking for exists. If we go further back, again, we can click on the list of all publications and we get them all. So if we were interested in the Alabama Intelligencer, we could click on that and see how many years we've got there. We currently got 1835. So this full text coverage 1835, you always want to click that down arrow to see exactly how many years are covered. And in this case, they've got to show coverage exceptions. And then you can see here that the exceptions are 1836 to 2020 currently. So that's another way to see what is not available in the collection. So that's one of our options. And then of course, obviously you can do a search within the collection. So let's just pick on, let's just go with the surname of Eyre. And then we'll see what we get. Now, obviously 2 million hits. I'm sure you guys could do that in a day. You notice here that though that you can sort by oldest, relevance, newest. So if you have a specific time frame, you may want to take advantage of the advanced search in this. That would allow us to put in not only the name of somebody, so maybe Thomas, okay, in the keywords, and we'll ignore that. But if you wanted to put specific dates, you could put in, say, let's go with just 1870 to 1875. Okay, and then you would be able to do your search. And you'll see that you get different things. And notice now that it's telling you what we have for search terms and for our dates, and then it's showing us the oldest and then moving forward. So that means 1870 is going to appear before we get into 71, etc. And since we didn't specify a location, we've got everything. So from Bangor, Maine, to California, to Boston, etc. So that's one of the things that you can do. It's always a good idea to play around with any of these external databases using your somebody in your ancestry that you already know should be in something. In other words, if you know that they should be in a particular newspaper and you know that newspaper is here, that's a good example of how to play around and see when you get it and how it appears and what choices you have to make in the advanced search in order to effectively use it. All right, let me close out a couple of these guys here. All right, so if we go back to our search, and the next thing that we are going to look at is our Oxford Dictionary of Family Names in Britain and Ireland. And I've already got that one loaded up here. I'm going to block that. A lot of them will ask if you will allow them to send you notifications. I usually just block that stuff or close it out. So we have the Oxford Dictionary of Family Names in Britain and Ireland. One of the things that can be really, really good about this is if you've got a specific surname that you're interested in and you're trying to figure out some info about it, that will allow you, you can either click it alphabetically or you can search for it, and it will tell you some information about the surname. What's great about this is, so not only do we get the name and how common it is contemporarily, but we also get the frequency in 1881 in this case, where it was most prevalent. I usually use this particular database when I am looking for those who may have been some early bearers, trying to get a handle on some of the locations that I might be looking to focus on, trying to get my ancestor back across the ocean kind of situation. And then we have the reference, surnames and genealogy in this case. And then we also get the map, which is especially useful because then we can see here, we've got the code system showing which areas are most prevalent. And maybe that tells you something about the surrounding areas that may help you in focusing on where a particular surname meets up with another one of your surnames, etc. So I really love the map focus here, showing me this section of the information. So that's one of the ways that you can do it. Like I said, we can also search within the work. So I could put it in the surname of heir and it will think really, really hard. And here we go. So, and you'll notice that it's allowing me the variations of spelling. So the more traditional, and then the ones that might have been more prevalent, and it's got some cross references. So again, if we go in and we click on heir, and we have it pull up, we will see some of the variants, some of which you may have thought about. Obviously, with and without the S, A-Y-E-R, A-Y-R-E without the E. But some of these I hadn't even thought about, the ones beginning with the H, and definitely I hadn't thought about the L. So again, some very valuable resources. And then the 1881 frequency. Now, in this instance, I don't get the early records, but it also tells me to go and see this other collection. And then again, if we view the frequency in 1881, I can see some sections, obviously it's got some that are very, very heavy in Durham, but then there's some Scottish collections here and further down, and then very few down in Devon. One of the things that's great about some of these external databases is that the idea is to give you more of an understanding of your ancestry and perhaps where you're looking for things. Also, what might be influencing your ancestry. So main Irish locations, 47 to 64 in this instance, because I simply clicked on a variation. So when you see these variations, you want to look at all of them. Make sure that you do that so that you are really exhausting the entire layer of that surname and getting all of the information. Because remember, under the other spelling where it was A-Y-E-R, we had no Irish connections whatsoever. And of course, anytime we're looking for Irish in the dreaded 1847 to 64 timeframe, which is of course before civil registration in most cases, this is a real godsend. And then we see the early bearers under this surname. So this variant has much more and was more prevalent than what we know of as today with the AYER version again. And so once again, we now have a better understanding of where things are coming from. So that one, like I said, it's not going to give you a lot on your individuals. What it's going to do is it's going to give you a better understanding of the history of the surname and its origins coming out of the British Isles, and where you may be wanting to look going back across the pond to see what might be available. And so that's another very useful one. Like I said, I know that, by this point you may already be seeing this and saying, okay, I get it, we go to search. I just want to remind you that everybody stops at the advanced search or the search all databases, and there's lots of things hiding further down. So always scroll down on our website, especially under search, because we've got a lot of different cataloged interests, including these many different variations. Now, the marquee biographies online, this obviously is for those individuals who are in one of the various, click here to log back in, we will log back in, there we go. One of the various who's who publications that Marquis does. And obviously these would be for maybe somebody who is of a particular, they're either well-known in history, art, politics, American women. So perhaps we go with, let's just go with, okay, and we'll do a search on that. And you'll get a variety of search criteria. One of the things that I like to do is to keep things broad. So when I'm using something like this, I'm perhaps less looking for a very specific person and more I'm looking to see maybe who else has that surname to see if perhaps I can find additional information about maybe relatives, and through those relatives maybe find something that is additional information. So for instance, yes, everybody knows about Dwight D. Eisenhower, our 34th president, and we get some great information. He was born in Denison, Texas in 1890, and then we get a lot of his, who his parents were, when he married, his children, and so forth. However, one of the other things, if I go back, is I'm curious about the ambassador and writer down here to see, is he a relative of some sort? And the best way to do that is to click on them and look and see. And so as you can see, because of what he did, things are a little different here. We've got his education, his career, and then further down, we will get his information. So he was the son of the president and married, and who his children were, and so forth. What's good about this is if you do have somebody who is rather a mover and shaker, it may assist you in learning more about the person and getting an idea of, who else to look for, especially if you're looking for some contemporary individuals, etc. So this, again, this is mostly going to give you some people who are well known, but it may open up an avenue of research to you on a surname for other individuals that maybe you weren't aware of, who may give you some information as to children, descendants, etc. Something else to look at, maybe even just another place to look for somebody than what you already had. So that is, again, mostly going to be your well-known individuals. All righty. So the two, one of the other ones that was shown to you earlier was the Irish Newspaper Archive. Melanie gave a video last month in March, and she talked a lot about the Irish Newspaper Archive. I do have it open here, and again, it is a great resource for newspapers of Ireland. Obviously, some of them, like the Belfast Newsletter, go back to 1738, which is absolutely amazing for us. And I got to tell you, I really love the videos that they've put together to help you get the most out of the website. So it's not just that you're going to fumble around. You can watch these little videos and get a sense of what to do, how to find things, how to browse, how to search. But more importantly, once you have maybe a county or a civil parish in Ireland, you can use the newspapers to find additional information. These early ones, such as the Dublin Journal and the Belfast Newsletter, help with information when it comes to looking for our ancestors who unfortunately were not here when we really, really wanted them to be. In a time when we just don't have records like we wish we did. Some of these newspapers predate available civil records, definitely civil records, but also our church records. And so it can be information that you maybe didn't realize existed, but also it may give you some information about the various articles, etc., that give you a sense of what was going on in and around the area where your ancestor was residing, and may explain why they got out of Dodge, or what was influencing them, who were the movers and shakers of the community, etc. And newspapers just in general are one of those areas that we never seem to spend enough time with because we're always looking for the quick and dirty, birth, marriage, death kind of notices. But if you spend some time in a newspaper, a historical newspaper, you're going to find that you understand a lot about the community. Who were the ministers? What was going on? Were there, trials and tribulations for that particular town, etc. So that's another great resource as well. And then one of the ones that I particularly really encourage people to use is the what we call Genealogy Quebec here. Now, I will caution you that it does have limited simultaneous users. So if you happen to click on it and you can't get in, just try a little later because they do limit how many of us can be in it at one time. It will open up this window here. Okay, and what happens is you will have to, basically you will have to get in, okay? So when we get there, it's going to ask you to kind of to log in maybe if you click on that. So that's not what we want to do. We actually want to go in and there is a connection that we can use that should appear at the top of the page for us. Also, if you don't do a whole lot with French, your browser, as you can see here, my browser, Google popped up and said, hey, I can translate this from the French to the English if you want. I tend to just go with the French because the records themselves are going to be in French. For those who have French Canadian ancestry, the La France BMS is the Drouin collection, and we can then search on a particular person. Now, normally you would see a little connection, the word connection up here in red, and clicking on that would then take you to this window that you see here. So basically it's like, okay, I recognize that you're accessing through the NEHGS library remote. I just need you to agree. So basically you just are agreeing to the terms and then continuing. Okay, and from that point, then you get into what you want. Now, because baptisms and burials have the same letter in English, keep in mind that in French, it's the baptism is B, marriage is M, and then burials is S for sepulture. So here you can do a search on pretty much just about any surname in question. Let's see. One of the things that I really particularly like about the Genealogy Quebec site is the fact that it will give me the variations of surnames, a deed surname, a nickname, other names that are used with the particular surname that I've put in. And so I could put that here as a second surname, or I could click on it. Usually if I click on it, it will allow me to then just add it in here. So then, and notice this is not a very big one. So if I put that, we would have like a lot more hits. And then there are additional criteria that you could limit. Again, less is best as far as I'm concerned. You can, choose the person to be the subject, the wife of the subject, the father or the mother of a subject, or all roles. You can also choose the type of act you're looking for. And you can narrow down to specific parishes. Again, I don't usually do that. If it's a common French name, I will definitely include some years, and I will usually give it a first name. For this one, we're just going to go with what we've got here. And we will see that it will show us a number, a date, the type of, so the B is baptism, S is sepulture, and M for mariage. And then the role over here, the gender of the individual in question, the standard name of the given name, which is nom, and then the standard first name. Once you have just found somebody that you are interested in, so in other words, here we have a baptism where we've got a father, and then we've got the, so if we look at this one, if you click on the name of the parish, what it does is it opens up a map. I've gotten hit by that a couple of times where all of a sudden it gives me a map. So we'll let that churn for a second, but we're going to look at this. And so, okay, so here is what happens. There's usually a map of where the parish is. So that's really not what we're interested in. You want to click on the date of an event, and then it will open up this nifty little window here, which is an abstract of what the record is. In this case, a baptism that took place on the 27th of October in 1716, with the birth itself having taken place on the 26th of October. And we have the individuals in question, the child, the father, the mother, and then anybody else who was mentioned, especially in this case, because it's baptism, these would be the godparents or sponsors. And then there's also a link to the original image in the Drouin collection. What's really nice about this is that these tend to be slightly better versions than some of the ancestry ones. So very often, if I have been using the ancestry ones and it's very difficult, it's very like what I call spotty, I will come and look on Genealogy Quebec to see if I get a better version of a particular entry. The entries usually have on the left-hand side where the dates and the church in question, so that can help you as well. And then you can save the image and use it that way, to download the image. One of the things that I really like about this particular collection is that in addition to this, which is Drouin, they have a lot of really great other utilities, including some items such as the necrologies and the marriages and deaths from 1926 to 1997, the necrologies themselves, which can take you, you can look for mortuaries, you can look for deaths in journals, deaths online, and other items. So usually we spend a lot of time in the Drouin collection, but really if you're researching in anybody in Quebec and as well as Ontario, Nova Scotia area, they're constantly adding to these areas and giving you lots of great resources. One thing to keep in mind when you are working in this particular database is the limitations to what is available. So the baptisms and deaths or burials for Quebec only go up to 61. Drouin goes well beyond that. So you want to use this in conjunction with the Drouin collection on ancestry. The Catholic marriages go up to 1918. The Protestant marriages currently only go up to 1849. And then they're always telling what is new and added when you get to the website as well. Then, as I mentioned, some of the utilities are the marriages and deaths, 1926 to 1997, with how many of them exist. For the marriages, they actually have the marital, the document itself. For the deaths, it's only an abstract. This is a legal issue with their privacy laws, so just keep that in mind. As I mentioned, there's the necrologies, which can give you some information both online and some other collections. And then they also have some other items, some published genealogies, etc., that you can use. And then what they call the petite collection, which has some other areas outside of Quebec that have some other baptisms, marriages, etc. And then some specialty collections that were devoted to, the collection of information in other areas, including parts of the United States, as you can see here. So sometimes these other resources that are here can really be useful. And then there is this great published genealogies that were compiled by Drouin of families from the from the early time frame, and may give you necessary information on links. They also have some censuses devoted specifically to Quebec and Ontario, and then some notary information. This is a little more limited than what you can find elsewhere. Again, as you can see, you want to look around when you are getting into these records. Don't just go in and put something in and assume that you didn't get what you wanted, so there's no point in continuing. Dig around and see what's there and what is what the limitations are. Obviously, if I'm looking for a death in Quebec after 1861, it's not going to be here, so I'm going to have to look somewhere else to find that. So those are basically our external databases that we make available for you. Anytime you are logged in as a member, you can take advantage of these as, augmenting all of the databases that we ourselves have made available in our, databases as well. So I think at this point, we're going to turn it back over to Tricia, who is going to let me know what questions we have.
Yes, thank you so much, Rhonda. You did a great job walking us through so many of those databases that members can access from home. I do want to invite everyone tuning in to put questions in that comment section on Facebook. If you think of anything at this time, we have plenty of time to go over some other examples or answer your questions. We did get a couple while you were talking, Rhonda. First was in reference to some of the newspaper databases that we have access to. Someone asked if you could go into a little bit more detail on if those newspapers are the same as some of the newspapers in Chronicling of America, which is another well-known newspaper database. I don't know if you want to maybe break down some of the differences. I know we have a few options in our external database section.
So the easiest way to do that is to obviously compare. Okay, so one of the things that you can do is narrow this down to the digitized newspapers, and then look for something specific. So we were looking at the Nebraskan. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and you can download the complete list of the digitized newspapers. And in this instance, so we've got this big list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Command Find or Control Find if you're on Windows, and I am going to put in Nebraska to get us down to the Nebraska section. That's the quickest way in a big section like this. And then we're going to look at all of the different things. And so obviously these are going to be alphabetical here. And so we're just going to scroll down. I know it's probably making you a little dizzy, but we're going to scroll down and look for the Nebraskan. And you'll notice that just using that one as an example, we do not see the Nebraskan in the collection on Chronicling America. So anytime you're working with, whether it be our database, the external database we have here, the 19th century one, whoa, that did not stay open. All right, there we go. Whether it's this 19th century newspaper database or it's one of the currently available external ones, such as the, newspapers.com, which we currently have available for the temporary access. You're going to need to compare. Everybody asks, which is the best? Which is the best? Basically, whichever one has the newspaper I need at that exact moment is the answer that I give. It's not really a cop-out. It's just everybody's got their collection of newspapers. And so it's important for you to know where newspapers are, and you don't have to be a member of a particular collection such as newspapers.com or some of the others in order to browse what they have available. They want you to see it. They want you to be able to be impressed with their collection. So know what you want as far as newspapers go, and then you can compare who's got what where.
Great, thank you, Rhonda. Very helpful. Like you said, every database is a little different based on what they have available. I did also want to mention we had a question about those temporary databases and how long they'll be available for our members. So right now, those will be up until June of 2021. The reasoning behind that is because we are hoping to at least partially open our library, our physical building again, and a lot of those temporary databases are ones that in normal times patrons would be able to access in the building, and that's sort of based on our agreements and subscriptions with those specific collections. So, you at least have a little bit of time to explore those temporary databases now. I do recommend that everyone, take advantage of those temporary ones, especially in the next couple months. Really pore over those and try to find what you need in those while they're up for our members.
Mhm.
And so for right now, that is what I'm seeing for questions in our comment section. I do want to thank Rhonda again for going in depth with us on all of those external databases. Rhonda, we heard a lot in the comment section from members who didn't really know that this page on our website existed. It is, a little hidden gem, but a lot of great things that people can access, especially during this time from home when you can't be in a physical repository. So thank you again, Rhonda. Before you leave the event, do feel free to leave any other questions, comments in that comment section. Give us your feedback on today's program and our other virtual offerings as we continue to expand our Facebook Live events and all of our virtual programming. Any and all feedback is really helpful and appreciated. Our next Facebook Live event will focus on another crucial resource on our website. Molly Rogers will be talking to us about how to best search and use study projects on AmericanAncestors.org. So I hope you'll join us for that one on Friday, May 21st, same time, 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll go over that with Molly Rogers. And if you'd like to engage with us even more on social media, we do have Twitter chats every Tuesday afternoon. The next topic is on using diaries and journals in your family history research. So that will be on April 27th from 4 to 5:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Please come chat with us. You can also follow the hashtag #OurAncestors to follow along with our Twitter chats. And again, this external database talk is really a great benefit of our paid NEHGS membership. I wanted to plug that membership special one more time. New members can get $20 off when you join through the end of April, and should give you plenty of time to even get into those temporary databases that we talked about. And Melanie had put the link for that in the comment section for easy access if you want to check out that webpage. And finally, if you'd like to access more how-to resources, learn about upcoming online educational programs, we have a lot of other free resources on our website. Please visit our online learning center, AmericanAncestors.org/education. For now, I hope that you all stay safe and healthy. Good luck on your research, and I hope to see you all at online programs in the future. And goodbye for now.